Hey, we are back from High Plains Raceway in Colorado. This is the first of 2 races this year. The second one, which is coming up later this year, is a full 24-hour race. You still have time to sign up for that, but let's get into this one. As always, we had great judges for this race. We had Judge Bob. We had a cameo from the esteemed Judge Phil.
Because no one will die, right?
And we had my co-host here, Judge Brian.
Hello there. We had some great penalties for this race, starting with one that was invented at the track called the Spam of Damocles, where we made a team wrap Spam and put it in their engine bay after their 3rd black flag. The threat was, if you get a 4th black flag, you gotta eat that Spam.
And we had another new penalty, the registered pit offender penalty, where if you get a certain number of flags, you have to take a piece of paper around the paddock and inform everyone.
I am here to inform you that I am a
pit offender.
We even had some Price is Right penalties supplied by Hangar Racing, who had a whole theme going, and we even got lucky enough to have 2 teams get 3 black flags at the same time, so they went to that big wheel, you know, the big Price is Right wheel, to have a spin-off to see which team got to go back on track and which one had to serve the penalty. It was fantastic.
Savage Hangar also brought Penaltinko, where each of the numbers resulting from playing the game corresponded to a specific penalty, which the team then had to serve. We're going to talk more about Savage Hangar later in the video.
Most track PA systems are garbage, but some tracks are motivated to have a great system. Thunderhill has one because they love to yell at everyone at 100 decibels to tell them to shop at the Thunderhill Pro Shop. And High Plains has one because track manager Glenn, one of our favorites from all of the Lemons races, loves his karaoke.
I got friends in low places. Generals gathered in the massacre. Yesterday,
Now this race fell on Father's Day weekend, and the dads of Team Drop Bear Murphys were racing the first time with their kids. Now, previously the dads had built their own BMW E46, and that thing was so perfectly dialed in, they didn't need to do nothing to it, and they spent all the extra time building a completely separate BMW Z3 for the kids. So what happened? Well,
the left rear wheel falls off.
And then after that, the wheel fell off on the E46.
It falls off.
Last we knew, well, they were parting out their street car to get everything back out on track.
So we had a quick check-in with Arc Blast and their EV swap Datsun truck, fresh off their Lemons record-setting 1,100 mile performance at the Thunderhill 25 in a minute a couple of weeks ago. They had a few problems this time with one of their battery packs, one of their custom Jaguar I-Pace cells, so no record this time.
You know, I had a cousin drop by this race who works for a startup company that involves electricity. I don't think we need to go into any more detail than that. And he wanted to chat with the Arc Blast guys because he said, you know, I think they know more about this electric stuff than we do.
Here's a fun theme origin story. Jetlag Racing has been running this Rover V8 powered Triumph for a while, and at one point one of their drivers got lost trying to get from the track to the paddock, hence Jetlag Racing.
It's always hella sweet to see the gun barrel Cobras in their Lexus V8 powered Volvo, which is the Lemons car that is closest to a senior thesis in mechanical engineering. Now this thing has gone through a couple of different iterations, including a version with 3 completely different carburetors on a custom manifold. We featured that in a Lemons World episode. Now it has a different custom intake with a junkyard supercharger from a Cadillac and an Arduino operated paddle shift automatic transmission. This thing is incredible. It was in the hunt for a Class C victory up until the very end. We'll get into that in a minute.
Also hella sweet was this modern art theme on the Datsun 510.
At At this race, we welcomed the return of this amazing 1956 Renault 4CV. Now, this thing was built years ago for Lemons. It's got a center seating position, a mid-mounted 8-valve Volkswagen engine, some BMW 2002 suspension stuff. It was great to see it finally back on track.
Taco Tuesday Motorsports brought a bunch of gift bags for the corner workers, so thanks to them and thanks to the corner workers.
Green Beret Racing brought back their notoriously unreliable 68 Plymouth Satellite / Roadrunner, but they also brought a Miata this time. It was almost like it was a threat to the Satellite. Like, look, we're getting a car that actually works this time. And when you know it, the Satellite responded to the threat and ran better than ever.
Team Coming In Hot had a theme concept that was, one of our guys is a fire chief. Well, guess how they performed this weekend? They burst into flames!
Here are the class winners. Now, going back to that Class C battle we talked about earlier, it was between two Volvo wagons, the Cadillac supercharged Lexus V8 Arduino transmission one that we mentioned, and this one, which was stock. This one won Class C.
And now on to the important awards. Judge's choice went to Project Peddlers with their really long name and their 1998 Rover 400 that they shipped from England. And not only did they ship the car from England, they shipped a driver and then a couple more from Belgium. If you don't know the 1998 Rover 400,
I don't.
It's based on a Honda, which surely means that if you have a motor problem, you can just go to the American Pick and Pull and grab a spare from a Civic.
Well,
And you'll never have an issue where the motor is actually Rover 400 specific and only the chassis is a Honda. And when the Rover motor craps out on lap 27 before the international drivers have gotten a chance to race, you aren't totally screwed.
yes.
Fortunately, another team came to their rescue with a loaner MR2 and everyone got to drive after all.
I Got Screwed went to Mike Oliveri, who constructed this incredible 56 International Harvester S110 truck, which was fitted with a Volvo white block 5-cylinder from an S60R, a giant turbo from a Cummins diesel, and some Crown Vic suspension parts in a whole ton of custom fabrication.
No shit.
Mike has a great eye for detail, he's a talented builder, and he got this thing to the point you see here more quickly than an internet commenter can say $500 my ass. The only problem was, due to a possible issue when machining the engine block during the rebuild, there was so much blow-by that when he got the truck to the track and started it up for the first time, the dipstick fired out of the block at like 600 miles an hour. He never turned a lap, he got screwed.
Now, before we get to the heroic fix, we do have an honorable mention, and that goes to MSC Racing in their Miata. Their flywheel fell off, and it trashed the crank. So they swapped in a motor. This is their 5th motor in 3 races, which means they're getting pretty good at it. Only took them a few hours and they were back in business. But the actual heroic fix goes to the aptly named rookie team, Allegedly Racing, in their 2000 Pontiac Grand Am.
It's the most solid Grand Am ever built.
Their engine started making a faint knocking noise during practice, and then just a few laps into the race, that sound turned into a, well, more pronounced knocking. Despite being rookies, they immediately tracked down a local junkyard with 4 cars with the right type of V6 and immediately started prepping to do a motor swap.
Yeah, in the meantime, they were really proud of the sound the old engine was making, and since they were swapping the whole thing anyway, they fired it up to show it off. And if I had to describe it, I'd say it was actually a fairly subtle sound. It reminded me of the jazz drumming style of an early Max Roach or a Philly Joe.
So then they started stripping their motor to get ready to pull it out, while some of the other members of their team went to the pick and pull to get the replacement. A few hours later, the team at the track got a frantic call from the junkyard scouts with the unfortunate news that none of the junkyard motors would work, and they'd have to do their best to put new bearings in the original motor. I'm sure the demo they gave Nick wasn't super helpful to the plan. Then they got a new set of bearings, partly installed them, only to find out that the store had given them the wrong ones. Went back for the right ones, finished the rebuild, which worked, albeit briefly, but it did work. and that was heroic enough.
We had a special award for this race, and it went to Toshi Yagi and Atsuko Mikami. Now, Toshi came to Colorado in 2023 to fulfill a lifelong dream of racing Pikes Peak. He had been hill climb racing for years in Japan. And for Pikes, he brought over his own JDM Toyota Starlet with a 1.3 Tercel engine and a custom turbo setup, and he used that to narrowly defeat a 775 horsepower Shelby F-150 Super Snake in the Pikes Peak hill climb. After this accomplishment, our very own Judge Phil wrote a story about it for Auto Week, which led to a friendship between Phil and Toshi's wife Atsuko. So, of course, Phil mentioned to Toshi, there's an entire racing series that celebrates things like custom turbo Toyota Starlets racing against more powerful competition. And the next thing you know, Toshi was on his way back to Colorado to race in Lemons at this event with Savage Hangar and their Chevy Vega. He completed multiple stints in the Vega without a single black flag, and he took the final checkered flag of the weekend.
It takes a lot of courage to do what Toshi did. He's still learning English, and he came all the way from Japan to Deer Trail, Colorado to race a Chevy Vega with a bunch of strangers in a weird race. Although, to be fair, we did have something he was familiar with. So we had to create a special trophy, the I Flew All the Way from Japan and All I Got to Drive Was a Chevy Vega award.
Organizer's choice went to Arc Flash, which, starting at the beginning of May, has racked up an Index of Affluency, a Halloween Meets Gasoline prize, and now an Organizer's choice. Normally they race a twin-engine Ford Focus. You can watch the wrap-ups for the Hallett and Thunderhill races to see that car. For this race, they debuted a new machine, a 95 Dodge Ram van, aka the Tarv, aka the Tow and Race Vehicle, aka the Commie Rammer. So all of this was going on all day Saturday, and then, in a shocking turn of events, on Sunday, the van appeared with a new pro-Soviet theme, the Commie Ram. And on top of all of this, members of the team helped out Team Catfish, a rookie team in a Camaro that needed some cage updates. And during the process of adding some higher bars for additional helmet clearance on that car, the Arc Flash guys decided, these bars don't look right with their Catfish theme. So they added some fins as well. And finally, one of the other Arc Flash drivers rented his Lemons legal Toyota MR2 to that European Rover team so that they could finish the race. That's a lot for one weekend, and an easy org choice.
We hinted at Savage Hangar and their Price is Right theme earlier, and there are Halloween Meets Gasoline $1,000 for Best Theme winners. This team was a collaboration of a couple long-running Colorado Lemons teams, Savage, Orchid, and Hangar 13, and they featured 3 cars, the Chevy Vega that Toshi from Japan drove, the Class C winning Volvo 240 that had an excellent cliffhanger theme, and a Datsun 280ZX that hella blew up. And of course they had their entire stable of crew and drivers in costume. The origin of this theme idea comes from the fact that the Chevy Vega was the first ever new car ever given away on The Price is Right, and they just ran with that.
Yeah, this theme was relentless. During BS inspection, they were bidding on class and penalty laps for each car in the field.
That's right, it's C0!
And they even stuck around to narrate each visitor to the penalty box.
Car 83, come on down!
And they had other little tidbits like a nod to the Bob Barker fight scene from Happy Gilmore, and they had a microphone that got progressively longer throughout the weekend. As we mentioned before, they also provided some penalty props to the judges, which included the giant Price is Right spinny wheel. Now, getting that thing to the track was no small feat, as Savage Hangar member and sometimes Lemons judge Mental dragged it in the back of his Ford truck all the way from Vegas. Now, partway through this journey, the truck dropped into limp mode, and so it was okay on the flats, but it was a no-go once he got into the mountains. So he called AAA and got the Ford truck towed with the gigantic Price is Right wheel in the back over the toughest mountain passes. And once he got into the high plains and it was flatter, he had him drop him off and finish the rest of the trip. Now, all of this was just spectacular. It's one of the best Lemons team mashups we've ever seen, and they really delivered just an obvious HMG.
Which brings us to the IOE. Now, it's rare for a rookie team to win the grand prize of Lemons, the Index of Affluency, but that's exactly what NTD Racing Lemons did in their 1994 Oldsmobile Cutlass Ciera, don't forget the S. Now, we've talked about the Cutlass Ciera S in the past.
What we could do is we could take that Cutlass Ciera and take a bandsaw, cut it in half, and then put the trunk back on it, and put an S on the back.
Bravansky, I didn't know you had it in you. You're going places.
Wow!
Now, think back to 1994 for a minute.
Give me that dunk button, them big old legs. I ain't too hard to beg.
That year, there were some pretty modern, good performing sedans. The BMW E36, the Honda Accord, and well, this. It looks like it's an 84, but it's actually a 94. It's pushrod powered, column shift automatic grandma mobile that wasn't fooling anybody about its performance on the streets in 1994, let alone in a road race in 2025. But this bunch of rookies who had some previous desert racing experience, and that's about it, piloted this car to a 26th overall finish with the second worst fast lap of the weekend. The worst fast lap, you may recall this car, was the one that had the one issue. They beat BMWs, they beat Porsches, they beat V8s, all with a car that doesn't excite anybody. Well, almost anybody.
My car! Tan Ciera!
Just one of the best rookie performances we've ever seen in Lemons, and a well-deserved IOE in their first time out.
There you go. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?